I'm Danny Dorling. I'm a professor of geography at the University of Oxford, and in my very humble opinion, one of the worst things about high economic inequality is that it damages the environment. High economic inequality is extremely damaging for the environment because the greedy do not know how to control themselves. Thomas Piketty, who is a brilliant economist from Paris, has done incredible detailed work recently looking at the consumption and pollution patterns of the richest 1%. And he has shown that the richest 1% disproportionately contribute to greenhouse gases and to carbon pollution and are damaging our planet. This is because they buy so many things that they do not need because money is not an issue for them. It's because they have so many homes that they travel between. It's because when they travel, they don't travel in a sustainable way. At the extreme, they're flying in private jets. There isn't a better way to heat up the planet and damage our environment than to fly in a private jet. And we need to learn the importance of this because climate change is the biggest threat that we're facing. And we're partly facing it because we're allowing the greedy people in our societies to carry on being greedy, and we're not controlling them for the good of everybody. In more unequal countries in the world, everybody actually buys more. The poor buy more in the United States than the poor buy anywhere else in the rich world. The poor in the UK buy more than the poor in Europe. Not because they've got more money, they go into debt, but because in an unequal country you feel that you have to have these things because the people above you have them or have even more. And look at how the celebrities are behaving, they have even more. And you won't be happy unless you buy more, travel more, have more holidays and get into more debt. And all of this harms the environment more and more and more because it increases our pollution, it increases CO2, it increases our individual carbon footprints. In those countries in the rich world, where the 1% have less, where they're better controlled, where they're slightly more like the rest of us, the 1% tend to behave in a far better way than the 1% behave in the UK or the USA. And in societies which are more equal, the overall level of pollution is much lower in the rich world. The gap between the rich and the poor in the UK and the USA is wider than it's been since at least the 1930s or even the 1920s. But all's not lost. It can feel very bad if you're sitting in the UK or the USA at the moment. But in most countries, most OECD countries in the rich world, inequality is much lower than in the UK or the USA. And in the majority of countries, it is actually falling at the moment. And in these countries, people, despite the fact they have more disposable income, are buying less. They're doing less wasteful things with their time. They're taking fewer trips they don't need to take. They're not going to unnecessary meetings just to show their face. If they do travel, such as in Germany, they travel by train, not by plane. There's no reason to be pessimistic about the future. The UK and the USA are probably at a peak of economic inequality right now. It will almost certainly come down in the years and decades to come, decade after decade after decade. And we will slowly begin to learn what most other people in the rich world know, that having more and more money doesn't make you happier, it doesn't make your country more sustainable, and it doesn't solve the problems of the planet.